Already 4 races into the GT America powered by AWS season in 2025 after stops at Sonoma Raceway and the streets of Long Beach, and now a Texas-sized challenge awaits this mixed class grid here at Circuit of the Americas. Hello and welcome to the state capital of Texas. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside, and it's Amanda Busick down in the pit lane for us, getting ready to go for the first of 2 races here this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Field starting to roll out onto this 3.4 mile, 20-turn track, and it is a fantastic grid, especially in the SRO 3 field. Really strong stuff. Kyle Washington will start from pole position here today, but he's got plenty of company, Calvin, in hot Texas conditions with Elias Sabo, Memo Gidley making his series return, Justin Rothberg and Chouest, the top 5 from qualifying this morning.
Yeah, the times were really tight here this morning. Blake McDonald actually competed in that qualifying session, had the top spot for DXDT. He's elected not to start this race. That promotes Washington up to the pole. He's second in points coming into this weekend, 9 markers behind Justin Rothberg, who swept both races at Long Beach, but Rothberg only 4th on the grid. He's got some work to do here today.
It's a totally different GT4 grid than we saw at Long Beach. Different faces and a couple of different cars as well. We'll talk about that as we go along, but as mentioned, the Rova Pole Award goes to Kyle Washington, Elias Sabo alongside. Then it is Memo Gidley with the returning Ski Auto Sports team, former champion in this series, back for his first start of the year. Justin Rothberg, who came a point short of a championship last year, starts next to him. Chouest in his Corvette, and Mark Muzzo and the R. Ferry Ferrari will share row 3. Then we welcome back S's Racing with Joel Cortez. He'll start alongside another debutant, John Manship, in a pair of Porsches. And speaking of Porsche, JF LeBurge for LAB Motorsport will start in 9th. Then we get to GT4, where Max Hewitt is on class pole. Tony McIntosh and Michael Loriema starting 11th and 12th overall. And Denny Stripling in the Fast Track Racing BMW hometown team will start out back, but show good pace in the build-up to today's 40-minute race. The weather has been a story this weekend. We've had some unexpected rainfall from time to time. Right now, mostly cloudy, but the sun is starting to peek through. Temperatures are coming up, and there's a lot of humidity in the air today, Cal.
Yeah, there really is, but I think the racetrack is certainly fast. A lot of rubber has been put down this morning already. There you see our pole sitters for the respective classes. Kyle Washington continues to impress. I mean, he's really got amazing racecraft. He's bold, he's aggressive. He seems to have a good feel for the car, so look for him to try and maintain that point at the front as they head up the hill into turn 1 today. And
for Max Hewitt, who did not compete at Long Beach, it is back to the form we saw out of him at Sonoma, where he finished 2nd in race 1, but won race 2 with the fastest class race lap. He comes in 7 points out of the championship lead, looking to put together another strong run in just his 3rd start in the series. Lights off on the safety car, just the 1 formation lap around this lengthy track. As mentioned, 3.4 miles around, an homage to Texas legend on 2 wheels, Kevin Schwantz, who wore number 34 for the bulk of his career. Here we go, getting set to take the green flag for the first of 2 GT America races here this weekend. Kyle Washington in the Porsche. He's on the pole position. Elias Sabo's alongside. Then it's Gidley and Rothberg, Chouest and Muzzo, Cortez, Manship, and LeBurge. Here comes the field now. Down the front straightaway, Tom Hansing with the green flag in hand, just waiting for the word go. Already, Kyle Washington in the VP acceleration zone accelerates away, and he'll grab the lead in the run up to turn number 1. But look at Gidley looking aggressive here early. He gets to the inside of Sabo. They might have rubbed fenders just a bit. That's allowed Washington to escape, but they fan out 3 and 4 wide further back.
Yeah, Gidley managed that superbly well because he committed up the inside, somehow managed to avoid turning Elias Sabo right at the apex there to eat up some of the curb. Rothberg tried to take advantage of that, but Gidley's got back up on the wheel, maintains P3. But the Audi, big twitch there through the S's, just hangs on to it.
Yeah, it's been a work in progress as the team rolled out for their first race at this level this season. And of course, it's a new pairing between team and driver. These are former rivals, if you will, albeit friendly ones, as Memo went up against the Ski Autosport team en route to his championship a couple of years back. Now he's teamed up with that operation led by Kent and Melissa Hussey.
Chouest there going through the turn 11 corner there. I think he actually started from the back of the pack there, so he must have had a bobble on that formation lap or something and couldn't reassume his original grid spot. So he's on the wheel early, trying to get back to that original starting spot at least and more.
Around a couple of Porsches there in the opening stanza. Now sets off in pursuit of the Ferrari that we're watching right here of Mark Muzzo. Pole sitter in GT4 has been able to hang on to the top spot. That's Max Hewitt. Tony McIntosh trying to keep him honest.
Yeah, and those two seem pretty evenly matched. We've seen some great battles already this season, but up at the front, Washington is skipping away a little bit as Sabo and Gidley fight it out.
Good battle there between the two. Gidley with so much experience. Sabo still adapting to GT3. It's only his second season, having moved up a year ago, but only did a half a year in the BMW after starting the year with the Aston Martin. So that's still part of that learning process for Elias, but everyone chasing Kyle Washington, who has been in good form to open 2025.
He really has. He's doing a lot of races this year. I think the number's around 30 that he'll compete in across various classes and championships this year. So he's getting the seat time. GMG are now based at Thermal with their new race shop, so they can just roll out of their workshop straight on the racetrack. That'll help Kyle, who has a condo. Let's call it a condo. I think it's a pretty nice home there, right at the side of the circuit.
Yeah, similar story, actually, for Flying Lizard and Elias Sabo. They're headquartered now at the Apex Club just outside of Phoenix, and they also feel like that's been a big asset for them. It's allowed them to do extended testing, and with a new track layout available to them at Apex that offers some more high-speed options to do some testing, they feel more prepared than they ever have.
Yeah, I think it's really going to pay dividends for them. They tested here as well. Let's take a look at this start here, see if they do fan out before we get to the stripe.
I think apparently the 80 of Elias Sabo is under review, and he did change columns there, it would appear, getting behind Washington, but Washington also shifted a little bit. The key is to stay in your column up to the start line, and at that point you're allowed to fan out. So we'll have to see how that is adjudicated.
Yeah, we'll let the stewards look at that one, but meanwhile up front, Sabo's really got the bit between his teeth. That BMW is coming alive here. We talked about the test that they did came in this weekend with a ton of confidence, running in 2 championships, of course, with that age with the track time, and able to set up this BMW and find the right setup here in these conditions.
Already 2 podiums this season for Elias Sabo. Runner-up in the season opener. He was 3rd on the streets of Long Beach in race 2 just a couple of weeks ago. Already right on the pace here at Circuit of the Americas.
These 2 drivers up front, I think they have similar sort of personalities in a way. They're bold, aggressive guys in their business and on the racetrack as well. And I think for Elias, he wants more than this.
He won't like this news. No. Just handed a drive-through penalty for start procedure violation, and that has to be about staying in your column. That's the brain trust. You can see Darren Law in the background, Thomas Blum in the foreground, and
Darren's body language said it all there.
Let's watch it again. It's the orange and black BMW in question. And look, before the start line, he did start to move to his left, screen right.
Yeah, but he almost followed the wheel tracks of Washington. Admittedly, Washington's a little bit further down the road. So that was a tough one. That was a close call. But anyway, decision has been made. You're not going to, no point in wasting any time fighting it. Get it done and hope for yellow, try and get back into the mix of things. But that's going to definitely be a bit of a blow here, even though it's early in the championship season.
Yeah, really disappointing. Came into the weekend 4th in points through 4 races, just 31 out at the championship lead. Can't afford too many mistakes, however, to win a title as closely contested as this championship has proven to be over the last few seasons. Case in point, last year, it was separated by a single point.
That's right, and that was the Ski Autosport team with Johnny O'Connell at that time behind the wheel. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias Sabo and Elias Sabo. 2 drivers up front, Elias S Give our thoughts to Johnny O. He's got a bit of a neck injury that established itself, not in a race car or anything, just laying in bed one night in December and suddenly he couldn't move his neck, so he's having to take a breather for this year. We're hoping to see him back behind the wheel. He doesn't want to stop racing, that is for sure, but they had to go deep and find that Memo didn't have a ride for this year. I know he's got some plans potentially for 2026 already coming together, but he was available. They did the shakedown race at Road Atlanta, knocked the rust off a little bit, allowed Memo to get used to that Audi, and he's sitting there in the backdrop there. He'll be promoted to P2 as soon as Sabo hits pit lane. And
that's exactly what Elias will do. Makes that painful left-hand turn into the pits. Don't want to be doing that in these short GT America powered by AWS races. That's going to effectively drop him to the back of the SRO3 field, and now he'll have his work cut out for him trying to get back through and salvage a result today.
Yeah, it's about 41 seconds to transition that pit lane here at COTA. It's a long pit lane. The net deficit is probably around 30 because those cars on track obviously have to cover the similar distance but on the racetrack at full speed.
This now becomes the fight for 4th and 5th. Mark Muzzo, who sat out the Long Beach round after making his return to this paddock at Sonoma. And Ross Chouest is giving chase in the Corvette. Now a report from the pits with Amanda.
Hey guys, yeah, I was talking to Mark Muzzo in Sonoma, and he was kind of testing out the SRO paddock and to see how his style fits along with his style of racing in GT America. I was talking to Terry Borchella earlier, who was working alongside of Mark, and happy to report that we will see Mark at more stops this season. He said he really loves how clean the racing is in GT America, and as he makes his decision of where he wants to spend more time as he grows out his racing career, it does look like that SRO is going to be a home for Mark.
Fantastic news. Veteran of Ferrari Challenge competitions, had good success in single-make Ferrari racing, and he's been teamed up for a long time with our Ferry Motorsport, another name familiar to this paddock, but they've been away for some time.
They have, but it's great to see them back. They always put forward a first-class effort, got some really great engineers there in that group, but this is a battle that's now heating up, which is for P2, obviously with Sabo hitting pit lane. Rothberg, our championship leader, wanting a little bit more than the final step on the podium, it looks like.
This was the championship fight last year, except it was Johnny O'Connell in the Audi who ultimately prevailed, as mentioned, by a single point over Justin Rothberg.
I'm sure if Gidley calls Rothberg the kid like Johnny O did.
They had a really fun pseudo rivalry last year. I don't know exactly what you'd call it. It was fierce on track, but there was a lot of respect between the two, and unquestionably getting experience going wheel to wheel with a veteran like Johnny O has been beneficial for Justin Rothberg's development. He's on the attack here up against another veteran, sports car race, ex-IndyCar driver. Memo Gidley's done a little bit of everything, and he's going to need to go into that bag of tricks, it looks like, if he's going to keep the BMW behind him.
Yeah, well, I think during the course of the season last year, Justin Rothberg learned a lot from veterans like Johnny O'Connell, but he's got another legend in front of him here in Memo Gidley in terms of positioning that Audi, making Justin work the high line there up into turn one and then just sweeping across his nose as he exited the corner. So Memo's digging deep here.
There's some urgency for Rothberg to get this move made because Kyle Washington is disappearing into the distance. Just did his best lap, and in fact the best lap of the race the last time by, about a half a second faster than these two are currently going, locked as they are in this fight for second and third.
Yeah, it wasn't a great qualifying run for Justin Rothberg here this morning in GT America. He actually went about a second faster in the GT World Challenge qualifying session just a little short while after that. So they're different chassis, so I'm not sure if this chassis is maybe not performing at the same level as the other one, which Robbie Foley actually put on pole for race 2 here tomorrow. But Washington out front has got clean air. He's not being hassled from behind. He's not having to compromise his line. So consequently, he's extending the lead right now.
Glimpse of Kyle Washington in the E-Boost Porsche. Just building that advantage. Gidley had a great middle sector, but pretty much matched by Rothberg, who continues to heap the pressure on.
Rothberg nearly ran over the top of him there in turn 15. Like Memo wants to slow the car down a little bit more and launch it off the corner versus rolling speed like Justin was looking to use there.
Drivers that have not raced against one another before. So early in the season, is there a feeling out process when you find yourself up against some new opposition?
Yeah, for sure, and I think that's how Justin goes about his business. I mean, he doesn't panic. He's very poised in his approach in races, and he's just feeling out Mamo Gidley here. Gidley's holding that middle of the road. I think there's plenty of acreage there to the inside. Should Justin want to use the power of that BMW up the hill, but electing just to sit back right now.
Gidley having to play some defense first in turn 1, then positioning the car to the inside in the approach to turn 2. Now the high-speed S's modeled off after a similar section at Silverstone in the UK. Hard place to make it overtake, but crucial for lap time and crucial to set yourself up here. Maybe you can make a run into the tight hairpin at the end of this twisty section.
Yeah, I think Rothberg's got a lot more pace there. He's just trying to figure out a solution here to get around Gidley. Gidley's, as we said, doing a great job up front in GT4, who continues to lead McIntosh.
He does. Denny Stripling, I think, had an issue on the first lap because he was instantly 17 seconds adrift and hasn't made any inroads on these two, but they've been really fun to watch. The field might not be as large as you'd hope in GT4, but these two have been super competitive in the 2 races at Sonoma, at least. Both of them elected not to take part in the street race at Long Beach.
Yeah, they're tied in points right now with a win and a second place finish from those opening rounds at Sonoma, but here we see Rothberg. He's going to start to get a message from his pit box. Listen, you know, we're deep into the first half of this race now. You need to make this move, otherwise Washington's going to be gone.
28 minutes to go. Let's check in with Amanda once more down in the pits.
Yeah, guys, and I'm watching this battle too, so I'll drop out if it gets a little spicy. As you see your 2023 champion in Mamo Gidley trying to defend off Justin Rothberg. I was talking to the Hussies who have confirmed we will see this entry at the rest of the races this season. But how the pairing happened with Mamo Gidley, Melissa was telling me that she met Mamo through that 2023 season and just fell in love with his personality, that he was not only their first call of who the driver to replace Johnny O'Connell would be, he was their only call. I talked to Mamo also about the disaster of a weekend. Guys, I'll let you take that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amanda. Good battle here at the top of the hill. This time Rothberg was close enough to get to the inside. Gidley trying to fight back. Just not enough pace in that Audi. The BMW is through. And down to just 26 minutes, 30 seconds to go in the race, and Rothberg will need every second of it to try and chase down Kyle Washington.
Yeah, this will be fun to watch. We'll see now he's got some clean air on the front end of that BMW, not compromising his line or pace, to see what he can do here as Marcella Manfrenato there watches on. She's the engineer of this number 56 Audi. And I was kind of surprised by Gidley suddenly electing to adopt that right-hand lane coming up the hill there. It was like he almost said, okay, let's let this BMW go. He's got a lot more pace than me. Maybe he felt he was just overworking the tires, and that may be counterproductive and suboptimal to get to the finish.
Suboptimal as well, the fact that Gidley didn't have a seat last year. Had to sit and watch on the sidelines after winning the championship in 2023, and what a year it was. 8 wins, 15 podiums, 8 poles.
Rothberg immediately, with clean air, knocked 9/10 of a second out of the gap to Washington in Sector 2 alone. This could be game on.
Definitely. Rothberg starting to close in on the leader, Kyle Washington, who has led from the drop of the green, inherited the pole when Blake McDonald elected to sit this one out, focus on his GT World Challenge America program for the weekend. Washington, though, still pushing. He did his best first sector. Rothberg's answered back with the overall best middle sector. It's going to be a good battle here to the finish between the Porsche and the BMW.
Yeah, I think this next full lap will really tell the tale of the tape in terms of if he's got the pace and the time on board, as we'll look at the calculations. But in Sector 3, Washington was 3/10 quicker than Rothberg, even though Rothberg laid down his best Sector 3 of the day so far.
Yeah, Washington got the message, didn't he? He upped the pace, nearly identical on that lap. Gap stays at just over 6 seconds. Chance now to check back in on this pairing. Mark Muzzo has had his hands full for the last 16 minutes or so with Ross Chouest. Not sure exactly what caused Ross to have to start at the back. qualified better than that, but made quick work of the debuting Porsches of Cortez and Manship, and now hasn't quite been able to solve this riddle as he tries to take the 4th spot away from Muzzo.
Now, Aaron Parvaledo, who kind of leads and steers the ship for the Chouest Parvaledo race team, is really pretty bullish about the progress that they've made. They really feel, even though this is, they've only got about 10 GT3 races under their belt in total since last year and this put together, but they said they're learning fast. They've got a great group, crew is working well, and that Corvette, as we know, is certainly really quick around this COTA race circuit.
It was outstanding in GT World Challenge America last year. Let's remember it was the first global win for this GT3 Corvette that took place at this event a year ago.
Oh, little mistake there by Muzzo under braking. I think the ABS kicked in, just had to, it numbs the front end, went straight a little bit before he could recover. Chouest had pounced.
Ross is through. That is for 4th place. And now Memo Gidley will be the next target in his crosshairs. Let's take a look again at how it happened, Cal.
Well, he may have just missed his marks a little bit, maybe looking in that rear view camera or in the side view mirror, and just missed it a little bit, gets in a little bit too deep. Has a little wiggle there. I'm not sure if the ABS was kicking in or the balance of the car was just off, so he had to give up the brake pedal. Either way, is enough to open up the door and allow the Corvette through.
I'm gonna guess this is not the first time these two have dueled with each other. Both come out of Ferrari Challenge. Chouest, a 2018 Trofeo Pirelli AM champion in Ferrari Challenge, and then made the transition to GT4, where he won a championship here in GT America back in 2022. Now up in the GT3 level for another go-round, but this time, as mentioned, with the Corvette. And he'll set off in pursuit of Gidley. Needs to find about 5 seconds. That's the deficit. See what kind of pace there is in that Corvette over the next 22 minutes. Meantime, Max Hewitt from pole leads Tony McIntosh, but the gap has been stable at just about 1 second. Neither can make any inroads, either pulling away in the case of Hewitt or getting that little bit closer for McIntosh.
Yeah, they're pretty evenly matched, by pace, about 3/10 between the fastest laps of the day. That's held by Hewitt in GT4 at the moment, or 2:15.4 versus a 15.7 for the chasing Toyota.
How about the year that Tony McIntosh had last year? He won an Italian GT Sprint Championship. He won the Lamborghini Super Trofeo World Final in the Pro-Am class. He won the Super Trofeo North America Championship in the AM class, and he won a Porsche Endurance Challenge Championship in GT3 Cup last year, all in 2024.
Yeah, and he's got a big day ahead of him. His car sits on the pole. It was put there by Parker Thompson, his teammate, for this afternoon's 3-hour race, so a big day. Lots of racing here at Circuit of the Americas.
Certainly so.
Super Saturday, as Amanda put it.
I like it. We'll be racing into sunset for that 3-hour endurance race. Something a little different for Pirelli GT4 America. Did it last year, and it's back once again. Double points, of course, with the longer race distance. What makes this a really important one to execute. But I don't know that Tony will be thinking about that right now. His current goal is trying to find a way to run down the Van der Stur Racing Aston Martin. Here's the comeback drive from Elias Sabo. He's been turning in some good laps. In fact, just took the fast lap of the race, which is crucial because that sets the grid for tomorrow. So right now, at least, Sabo would be on pole tomorrow, and he has caught John Manship. We'll want to waste as little time as possible picking up that 7th spot.
Yeah, he's going to be frustrated, and I think he's going to feel, you know, a little bit like that was a really hard line in the sand in terms of moving Collins, particularly because of where Washington was from the pole position. But either way, the ruling was made. He's got his head down. He's got that fastest lap, and he's just trying to dig his way deep into this pack with the time that's remaining. Looking at his pace, it's not inconceivable that he could get up there into the top 5 potentially, but it's going to be awfully close. He's got to keep the hammer down. He can't afford to waste any time here getting around Manship.
That's true. His next target, Joel Cortez, is about 10 seconds up the road. Halfway through his 40-minute sprints. Good to have Manship testing the waters here.
Just got a message from George Kurtz, who's past champion in GT America. He's watching this race right now. He's just returning home from Spain, having done some testing in preparation for the Le Mans 24-hour race. He says it's so hard to watch and not be there. Well, come back and join us, George. Come and join the party.
I was going to say, there's an easy solution to that one. There's a spot for you, no doubt, as Sabo goes to the inside and will make the pass on Manship. Driving for Wright Motorsports, team that's making its return to the SRO paddock for so much success, and of course doing so with new ownership. Team name remains the same, and they remain based in Ohio, but long time, well at this point, long time I guess, the last 3 years, driver Adam Adelson announced recently as the new owner of Wright Motorsports, taking the helm from the eponymous John Wright.
Yeah, it's a big move for Adam to take on the ownership hat. He says, when I'm racing on the weekends, I don't play that role, but he's certainly very busy between races in terms of establishing some of these other programs. They want to continue running first-class customer racing programs across a broad variety of championships here in North America, and who knows, they may expand that even further offshore as well down the road, but certainly exciting times for young Adam Adelson.
No question about it. He was in the press release announcing the change in ownership. He was quite open about the fact he wanted to see the team expand and have a consistent presence in this series, GT America as well as GT World Challenge America.
See that gap at the top on the graphic there? Washington continues to lead by just under 4 seconds, but Rothberg has been consistently about 0.4 of a second per lap faster, so that would take him 10 laps. We've only got 17 minutes on the board, so we could get close, but if they both maintain the same pace right now, he may be a little bit shy in terms of having enough time on the board, but you never know what can happen. Suddenly you see a car chasing you, growing ever bigger in that rear view camera, and that can affect your own performance. So Washington's got to stay focused, hit his marks, keep doing what he's doing.
And in years past, I'd say that would be a concern for Kyle Washington, but we've been chatting about it all season. Maybe at the midway point of last year, that win that he had in GT World Challenge America at VIR, something seemed to click, something seemed to lock in for Kyle Washington, and he has upped his game to an even further level here in 2025.
He really has, and I think the ability of young Tom Sargent as his co-driver and mentor now has really paid dividends. He's pushing Kyle. Kyle is getting the track time. He's got the resources to run a lot of different championships, and that just fast-tracks you up through your racing profile.
It is a great asset to have, and Tom was super quick in qualifying for GT World Challenge Race 2 earlier this morning. Pipped for pole by just 0.08 of a second. So expect a black E-Boost livery to feature prominently in those 2 races this weekend. Let's hear more on the story with Amanda now.
Yeah, well, currently out of vision is Kyle Washington. You can, oh, there you can see the Porsche right there turning through the S's. But Kyle Washington has seen the podium 3 times this season. It was a runner-up back-to-back at Long Beach, but he did pick up that win in the rain race at Sonoma and kind of made a laughing comment. I'm from Vancouver. I know how to race in the rain, but this would be a nice win for Kyle Washington. Got a great start at the head of this race and has just led it from there on out. So if this finishes the way that it is in terms of that points battle with Justin Rothberg, after 5 races, it would cut it down to 2.
Yeah, really close, as we expect. When we saw who was going to be around contesting the full season, we figured this was going to be a battle royale from race 1 in Sonoma in March to the final race of the season at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway come October. That's the way it's played out so far through 4.5 races.
Yeah, it really has, and Washington has certainly responded. We talked about Rothberg suddenly getting up in a P2, getting that clean air. Kyle just laid down his best lap of the day at a 206.6, which goes up against the fastest lap of a 206.1 of Sabo, who's a bit deeper in this pack right now. Haven't had that early penalty, but right now his pace is good. Looks like Rothberg may be a couple of tenths up on him on this lap so far, but that's not going to get it done.
I think Chouest also is making inroads on Memo Gidley, so there's still a chance that the bronze medal could be up for grabs in SRO 3 before it's all said and done. Here in GT4, just like we left them, last time we checked
Well, a bit closer, though.
A little bit now, all of a sudden. You're quite right. McIntosh still trying to unlock this puzzle. But there's not much weakness in the game of Max Hewitt, at least thus far in the season.
Yeah, again, suddenly where McIntosh is, that may compromise Max Hewitt's lines a little bit if he thinks that McIntosh may make a dive down into one of these break zones, and that can compromise your lap time, and it all goes a bit sideways at that point. So he's got to keep his rhythm here. I'm not sure if he made a little error to allow McIntosh to close in on him like this.
Max is a Houstonian, so racing on home soil here in Texas. Came up through Spec Miata Racing. Actually, he took a few years off from motorsport to attend college, but since 2023 has been back at it. Finished 7th in Formula Regional Americas in 23. Raced in Toyota GR Cup last year and finished 9th in the championship in his rookie season, which is a hard thing to do. Actually, his brother Miles is racing in GR Cup this year, and now taking that step into mixed class racing, GT4 racing, with Vanderster as the team behind him, doing a really good job. A 2nd and a win through 2 races.
Yeah, Tony McIntosh here is really putting the heat on. He's really leaning on that Toyota. It's given up on him a little bit through a couple of the corners, I noticed, but I think if he can just tidy up and identify where that threshold is, don't waste any time asking the car for more if it's not going to give it to you. Just try and be super efficient here over the last 12 minutes or so. I think he's got a shot at the win. They're tied in the points right now, as we said earlier, a win and a 2nd place finish apiece at the opening 2 rounds at Sonoma in California.
It's a 3-liter inline 6 turbocharged power plant in the Toyota. Aston, of course, with the 4-liter twin turbo V8. Similar look to the cars, though. Both platforms seem very competitive in GT4 America qualifying too. We're seeing that carry over here to the GT4 class in GT America. Tony, though, getting closer. He's inching in, probing for weakness, but there just hasn't been any to find.
No, I think he had a little bobble a couple of laps ago and lost 7/10 to McIntosh. That's what's created this scenario where now he's right on his tail. But even so, they do seem very evenly matched.
That played out in qualifying. There wasn't much between them for the Roval Pole Award in the GT4 class.
See what happens here. See how they compare them when they're so close. Look like the Aston pulls away a little bit under torque coming off turn 11.
Did mention that Chouest was making inroads, and now you can see in vision that has played out. Chouest has caught Memo Gidley. Now we've got Audi up against Corvette for the final step of the podium with 11 minutes to go. Really good drive here from Chouest, who again had to start at the back. Not sure why, but has rallied nicely and still has a chance at a podium.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a delay getting off the grid, and that meant that was too late for him to reassume his grid spot. But either way, he's fought hard and clean and knocking on the door of that podium run here. Gidley's got to dig deep here with a few laps remaining.
Had a tough weekend at Sonoma, did Chouest, but 2 steady runs to 5th in the 2 races at Long Beach. This would be a season best. He's looking for his first GT3 podium in, or SRO3 as it's known in this series, in GT America powered by AWS.
You know, with Chouest, we saw a couple of years ago when he won the championship finale races at Indy, that when he gets that confidence, he can take it to a new level, and I think that team is knocking on the door of untapping that potential for him with that race car.
Oh, McIntosh slinging that Supra around. You could see the rear step out at the top of the hill. Cost him maybe a little bit of time there. Back to this fight from the lead in GT4 to 3rd and 4th in SRO3. Tell you what, that silver and black paint scheme, that looks ominous on that Corvette, especially if you're Memo Gidley watching it close in lap after lap.
Yeah, it really does. I think Mamo may have learned something, that battle that he had with Rothberg, where he'd kind of run the middle of the road heading up to turn 1. He may need to adapt that race line to not allow Chouest the entryway through to that podium. See how much curb they can eat up through here. You really need that compliance. You need the suspension set up to be able to give you that ability to ride the big bumps and the curbs here. If you're a little bit stiff, that'll give you that change of direction, that sharpness that you're looking for, but you still need that compliance that'll ride the bumps and allow you to widen the radius through some of the corners.
Like that?
Yeah, exactly. Gidley there. Again, it doesn't seem like he can just roll as much speed as maybe some of his competition through a couple of these corners. We saw Rothberg almost get caught out by it, and Chouest almost did the same thing there, mid-corner, turn 11.
5.5 liter naturally aspirated V8 sitting amidships in the Chevy Corvette Z06 GT3R.
Gidley said on his way to a championship a couple of years ago, this was a disastrous weekend for us. Didn't put any points on the board. We want to try and make Circuit of the Americas one that we enjoy versus one that he's not really had great results at.
Well, that team not necessarily coming in thinking championship, having missed the first 4 races of the season, but I did point out to them in GT World Challenge last year, this is where the vice champions in the pro class, Alec Udell and Tommy Milner, started their season, and they very nearly came away with the championship.
You could see there, just by having the gap to work with, that Chouest was able to roll that little bit more speed through the apex of turn 20, but it seems like the Audi's got pretty good straightaway speed in comparison to the Corvette, at least. The BMW may have had a slight edge, but certainly the Audi's not suffering too much there.
Rothberg's charge may have stalled a little, 3.5 seconds behind Kyle Washington. He does have a better race lap, not the best though. That's still held by Elias Sabo, who is driving angry, I think, trying to reel in Joel Cortez after that penalty.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Washington had any traffic on that last lap, but he just laid a 2:08.4 compared to a 2:07.1 for Rothberg. So that's going to give Rothberg a little bit of inspiration as we continue to focus here on this great battle for the podium spot here. Too far back there to even think about it for Chouest, particularly against a veteran like Gidley. Just trying to rattle him a little bit. That's not easy done.
For my money, though, this is the best race I've seen Ross have at the GT3 level.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, it's been a really solid day so far. See if he can figure out a solution to this major puzzle right in front of him of Gidley.
This would match a career best in SRO 3, 4th place. Did that on a couple of occasions last year, twice at VIR, once here at COTA actually, and then another time at Barber. Looking for his first podium in the SRO 3 class, but of course a former GT4 champion in GT America, Ross Chouest. 6 minutes to try and figure this out. The podium is there. It's there for the taking, but he's got to get this pass made first.
Yeah, I think Chouest has really just got to knuckle down. He's got to really execute some perfect laps here to be in position to make a move should the opportunity present itself. You can't afford to suddenly lose a few car lengths. Got to keep the pressure on. Traffic up ahead. Could this be the opportunity? And was that what Washington was dealing with a couple of laps ago?
I suspect you're spot on. Already on the headlight flasher button is Ross Chouest trying to get into the head of the veteran, Mamo Gidley. Easier said than done. Looks like maybe the GT3 traffic coming through has broken up that GT4 battle a bit, as it looked like there was a bigger gap from Hewitt to McIntosh. Indeed, that is the case. Gidley will have to try and pick his way through in a difficult part of the track to encounter the slower class right here.
It really is. It's really a chess game at this point, just positioning and setting things up. Maybe try and back up Chouest a little bit here and get this burst of speed down the hill. He should be able to get to the inside, but those GT4 cars can brake pretty late as well. Gidley to the inside. Chouest goes with him. Nicely done. Gets a little bit wider arc as well. He's going to get a run off turn 11.
Yeah, great drive out of the turn from Chouest. Now he puts the pedal down and turns that 5.5-liter V8 loose down the straightaway. Both cars getting a tow off the GT4 leader of Hewitt. They should clear that car into the braking zone. Certainly Gidley does. Chouest may be compromised slightly, but he is able to clear the traffic. No more traffic expected for the remainder of this race. It didn't quite give the opportunity that Ross was looking for.
No, it didn't. Looking at Sabo's progress, still sitting there in P7. A couple of seconds back of Cortez, who runs P6 with the S's racing machine, but Gidley, he's just being awkward right now. He's got great car positioning around this racetrack to really stymie Chouest's opportunity here. And that's where the decades of experience kick in. He's always been super fit, so when he got the call, it wasn't like he had to get back to the gym. He just continued what he does on a daily basis to be active and ready to go even at his age.
Racing at a high level once again. It's easy to forget that looked like his career could be over about a decade or so ago. Terrible accident at 24 Hours of Daytona that left him with significant leg injuries. It was a long road back for Memo Gidley, and that championship at 23 was super emotional for anyone who had been there on the journey with Memo, and even those on the outside. He's a fan favorite for a reason. That was a really big deal to see him back at a high level and succeeding once again.
Yeah, it really was cool. Dave Traytel with TKO Motorsports just loved Memo's story, his perseverance, his grit and determination, and put that program together with him. And Memo grasped it with both hands. He was legendary that year, just a super season that he pieced together.
And under duress at the moment, Ross Chouest filling up those mirrors again, takes a peek to the inside, lets it drift back outside, tries to get the run, tries to get the timing right, out of the hairpin. He's close, but no chinks in Gidley's armor.
No, you got to get the timing right when you make those sort of moves there as well, because you're suddenly a bit out of your normal sync in terms of getting to that brake pedal, but he timed it nicely and didn't get into the back of the Audi. Memo's probably got a big smile on his face. He lives for situations like this, pressure-packed battles.
He loves the fight.
Chouest can feel it, though. He can feel it. He is so close to making a move here. Does he force it down the inside for this next corner? No, he crosses over high. Can he do the crossover here on the exit of turn 15? Gidley fighting for his life with this podium spot on the line.
1 or 2 laps still to go. Just depends on where the leader is. There is the white flag crossing the line now. So basically 1 lap left to settle that battle for the final step of the podium. Kyle Washington's lead is 4 seconds over Justin Rothberg. Then it's this fight here. Gidley and Chouest, 3.4 miles around. Can Gidley hang on, or can Ross Chouest take his first career podium at the SRO 3 level?
Yeah, nice thing for Gidley. He recognizes he's got a little bit more speed up the straightaway. He doesn't have to defend, and then he dives in really deep here, uses that ABS to get him to the apex, but that allows Chouest to take that wider line. Better exit speed on the Audi.
These two won't be thinking about it, but again, fast lap sets the grid for tomorrow. Sabo looks like he likely has it locked down with a 2:06.1. Rothberg, actually Gidley would, no, it would be Rothberg.
Rothberg, then Chouest third, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and here it is. It's on again in GT4. Hewitt, when it looked like he had some breathing room, well, couldn't take advantage of it because McIntosh has reeled him back in, and they are pushing those Pirellis to the very edge of the grip that they're able to offer.
Yeah, McIntosh was sending it there. Turn 11. Chouest is quicker off the corner, but I think Gidley knows he's got a bit of an ace up his sleeve in terms of the straightaway speed that seems to have just a slight edge over the Corvette there.
Never has looked troubled in the brake zone. Always seems like he's in a comfortable enough spot. Doesn't have to really defend, compromise his line at all. Chouest closing in again under braking, but just not close
change the
enough.
position up front in GT4. McIntosh has made the move on Hewitt. Was that down into the brake zone for 11? Hewitt's trying to respond.
Here comes Max looking around the outside. This is how the move was made. Wow! McIntosh came from a long way back. Hewitt gives him a wide berth. They're still battling side by side once again. McIntosh sweeping across the bow, trying to take the lead.
That was close. Just good hard racing.
Out of the final quarter, though, Kyle Washington, for the second time this season, sees the checkered flag first. GMG Racing takes race 1 here at Circuit of the Americas, but the battle for the win is very much up in the air. In GT4, Hewitt had led from the drop of the green, but a few moments ago, McIntosh wrested it away, but it's not done yet. Hewitt trying to counterattack.
He is. Been some gentle argy-bargy so far. Is there going to be a more aggressive move by Hewitt, trying to wrestle the lead back? McIntosh gets super defensive here. Is going to give Hewitt a big run through 19. McIntosh is wide. Tyres are screaming.
Hewitt trying to time the run. Again, McIntosh goes on the defensive, really late on the brakes. Hewitt will cross him over. Drag race to the line. Supra and Aston Martin, and it goes the way of McIntosh by 1/10 of a second. Thrilling finish for the GT4 win. Tony McIntosh and Jared Thomas and the JTR Motorsports development team steal the victory away in the closing lap.
That was a thriller. Great stuff. Good respect. He made that ball move down the inside. Hewitt gave him a little bit of racing room. They continued that battle for the last half lap.
Hewitt, though, will have pole tomorrow. He had the fastest lap in class today. So that fight will begin anew when we take the green flag for race 2, but
this
celebration
is
is underway.
This is a big win for Kyle.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen victory before this year in the wet and a shortened race and things like that, or not much green flag racing at Sonoma, but this is the real deal. He got it done from the pole. Excellent start. Grabbed that lead. Looked like Sabo was going to give him a hard time, and he got that penalty. And Kyle doing all the right things, picking up a few marbles here, make sure that the car will clear post-race tech with ride height and things like that and weight. So, great run.
That was comprehensive from Kyle Washington. Once Sabo had that penalty, he never was troubled, didn't panic when Rothberg started to close in. But he'll have his work cut out for him tomorrow. He does not start on the front row. If he's going to sweep the weekend, it will take some effort. By the way, Gidley did hang on to secure the podium in his first race of the season, so welcome back to Memo. Ross Chouest matches his career best with 4th, but drove an outstanding race to go toe-to-toe and have some pace in hand up against a driver of Memo Gidley's caliber and experience. That bodes well for the rest of the season for Chouest Povolato Racing.
It does. I think that will give him a lot of momentum moving forward.
Have to be thrilled with that. Might give him some momentum going into the GT World Challenge America race later on today, where Aaron Povolato has been quick over the course of the weekend. Ross will seemingly be up for the challenge to do his bit as they look for a breakthrough performance. Class winners in GT America, powered by AWS. Ignore the one at the bottom there, but we do have Kyle Washington and Tony McIntosh, winners in SRO 3 and GT4 respectively. They'll be making their way back around and very soon to the podium. Here's a look at how they finished race number 1. Washington by 3.5 seconds at the checkered flag. Ahead of Justin Rothberg. Gidley just barely fends off the Corvette of Chouest. Mutso quietly a strong run into 5th. Cortez did hang on. I think Sabo might have had a slip up because he was getting closer and then suddenly found himself quite a bit behind, but he'll settle for 7th, but the pole tomorrow, crucially. Let's keep an eye on that car in race 2. John Manship in his debut finishes in 8th. And then how about that fight to the end? McIntosh and Hewitt. Just outstanding stuff all race long, and it came down to the last half a lap effectively.
It did. It was a great battle, and hats off to McIntosh, Tony, keeping it real and keeping the pressure on, and when the opportunity was there, he pounced. Good, hard racing. I love to see it.
It was. Denny Striplett will take a podium as well. A little bit of drift, but got some good experience. We'll see if they come back stronger in race 2. There's James Safronis, team boss, leaning in, sharing a couple of words with his driver, Kyle Washington. They've been joined at the hip the last couple of years. Of course, James racing this weekend, too. He's on pole for the McLaren Trophy race later on today.
Yeah, again, I think Kyle might feel this is his best win yet. This was a great performance today.
Flag to flag for Kyle Washington. Whoa. And we'll be hearing from him here shortly. He says it's hot. Well, if he was comfortable in the cool and the wet because he's from Vancouver, then maybe the Texas heat would take its toll. But of course, he's done plenty of off-road racing and things like that, so he'll be used to it. And we'll hear from him here in just a moment. And then I can't wait to hear the story of how that pass unfolded. Tony McIntosh, apologies for the language there, but smile on his face after stealing the win away on the final lap. Let's hear from our winners now. Amanda standing by.
And Kyle, what started on pole was an all green flag race win for you. And Tom Sargent just told me that you earned this one and you were absolutely ecstatic on the radio. But when you look at a championship, hon, how crucial was this win for you?
Well, I love this track. I love these guys for putting a fast car. Tom did a great job in my ear, and all the boys on the car are super fast today. And it's one of the greatest tracks in the world, and it's really awesome to win here.
Showing so much trust and confidence in himself right now in that Porsche as I get over to Tony McIntosh on this win. And guys, you said it crystal clear. We want to know about that now or never move that you made to get this race win. How did you plan it out?
Well, I knew it was a situation of we didn't have overall lap pace, but I knew we had a good car at the end and we were really good on the brakes. Honestly, I didn't want to make the move there because he's got the legs to take me down the straight. But I just knew I had to just look for an opportunity, look for an opening, and I just tried it, and it worked out. And then once I knew it worked out, then I was stuck. I had to just make it happen at that point.
Extremely entertaining for all of us. Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It was indeed outstanding, and we get to do it again tomorrow in race number 2. This is how race 1 played out, though. It was Kyle Washington leading the field to green, challenged early on by Elias Sabo. Penalty for changing lanes prior to the start line cost Elias dearly. Drive-through sent him to the back. He only recovered to 7th. No cautions to bunch the field up. Really doomed his comeback drive. Justin Rothberg didn't qualify super well, but he raced well. That was the pass for 2nd around Memo Gidley. Memo tried to fight back, but ultimately there was no holding back the BMW. Ross Chouest had to start at the back, charged his way forward, and a really good scrap with Mark Mutso. Finally did get by and into the 4th position there. But at the front, it's all about Kyle Washington in SRO 3, and Tony McIntosh and Max Hewitt put on a show for us in GT4. It lasted basically the entire 40 minutes that we were racing here today. Ross Chouest from the back did run down Gidley. Looked threatening at times, but Memo was able to keep him at arm's length. Not so for Max Hewitt. Led every lap barring the last one. This is the move coming from a long way back. Tony McIntosh up the inside, and he takes the Toyota Supra to the point. He had to scrap for it to hang on because Hewitt certainly was there trying to come back. Couldn't get the job done. No one could chase down this man, Kyle Washington, who for the 2nd time this season has taken victory in GT America, powered by AWS. Back for more race 2 tomorrow.